Hello everyone, and welcome to this video, which is a part of the Onboarding Center series that we have created for EqHub here on YouTube. So today we are going to talk to you about how subsea contractors use EqHub. So my name is Lars Ole Fjørtoft, and I'm working with communications regarding to EqHub. And with me today, I have Tommy Lien. And would you like to say 2 words about yourself, Tommy?
Yes, thank you. My name is Tommy Lien, as Lars Ole said. I'm the global work process owner for lifecycle information and document control in Aker Solutions Subsea. And I've been involved in all these initiatives in the business related to EqHub and other related topics.
Great. Okay, so today Tommy is going to talk to give a presentation on these topics. So it's standard generic equipment documentation, typical equipment for reuse for subsea, the process, and then generic reuse documentation. So without further ado, Tommy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah. How we have been involved in this is, of course, that we have been in a lot of discussions with offshore Norway and also the other companies, operators in the business, on how we can utilize EqHub in a good manner for also subsea. So since the purpose of the EqHub is to archive all documentation for models or equipment that can be interchangeable and reused between projects and fields. This documentation is, of course, then purely generic without any project related information, which is one of the benefits, of course, that we generate the documentation purely generic and we use them as is for our products. And in Subsea, we do not have many deliverables, which is sort of off-shelf equipment. So there was a need for also be able to reuse generic engineered equipment, meaning equipment we in-house engineer and our technology to get the bigger potential out of the system and also for us to use the system in a great manner. So now the EqHub has been updated to handle this as well, meaning that the type, model, variant documentation can now be restricted access to this documentation because we then reuse our internal documentation, which cannot be reused by other contractors. But we can now sort of give access to different operators which has bought the same equipment from us. So the RDL requirements in EqHub is now been updated in accordance with the DNV-GL RPO 101, Technical Documentation for Subsea Projects, to reflect the same requirements for that type of equipment, which potentially can be reused. So if you go to the next slide, we will see that typical equipment for subsea which are potentially reusable and interchangeable between different assets are listed here. So as you can see, it's what we call Christmas trees or valve trees in that sense, tubing hangers, wellhead housings, conductor housings, etc. So as you can see, a lot of this equipment is in-house engineered and produced, but we also have supplier parts which applies to valves, to jumpers, it could be different transducers and so on, which in some cases are off-shelf, but in many cases also engineered by us and constructed, manufactured by a sub-supplier. So by using this approach, of course, we have tried in a great manner to standardize our products. We call it products when it's a package or unit which is combining a lot of different components into an assembly. So that means that the Christmas tree we have to some extent standardized it, meaning that we can reuse and sell the same Christmas tree to different operators, and thereby also standardize the documentation. So that's a great opportunity for us to then upload to EqHub, reuse between many clients. So if we go to the next slide, the process around this is a little bit different than this standard off-shelf equipment, because during the process of establishing what we call a master document list, which is the plan for all documentation to be delivered for a project, we send a list of documents on the MDL, and we are stating that some of these documents are potentially reusable or generic. So that means that we identify on that MDL the first time these documents, and they will have a review class named submit generic. If it's agreed with the client buying the equipment that these documents are okay to reuse, meaning that in some cases we have documents which are already in IFC, meaning issue for construction and already reviewed by a previous client or only reviewed internally. We have the documentation already in place for those, and those can be either uploaded directly for that first project, or if it's already existing, we just link in the same documents to the MDR for the project. However, if we, in some cases, first time produce equipment in a project which are potentially reusable, we then start the production in the same manner as we do for project-specific documents. We create the documents, we send them then through the client's EDMS system for review. When it's reviewed and approved, we then upload it to EqHub, and then it's potentially reusable for next project, next client. In our EDMS system, which is SAP, we register a reference to the relevant tech number in our metadata on the document profiles, so that we have a reference and have control of what's already in EqHub of our documentation, so we can search it back later on. Yes, if we go to the next slide, you will see that this is a typical example of generic documents which is already approved. So what we do in our system is that the relevant documents for that generic material number or part number, if you like, exists. We link it to the work breakdown structure for the project so that it applies on the MDL. And then we we upload the document directly to EqHub and give the reference into our system in the profile. And then it will also be shown with the reference to tech number on the client MDL, so they actually see that, okay, this is relevant. It exists in EqHub, and they can search for it in EqHub. If we go to the next slide. This is in cases, like I mentioned, where we first time produce equipment, but we see that this is potentially reusable for other projects and other clients down the line. We then run it through, if you click on one more time. Yeah. So the first thing we do is in the bullet number 1, we link it to the project network, meaning that we need to progress track it, and we therefore need to link it like that. Then we send the document through our document control into the client's DMS system. It's reviewed, it's going back and forth until it's acceptance code 1, which we normally then get when we have a document which are improved. When the document then reach the status issue for construction, we can then upload it to EqHub. And then we do the same for all the documents related to this. But that means that we have the possibility to create new EqHub documents during project execution of different projects if we see the potential of a new material which are reusable. Yeah, next slide. I don't think we have any more.
No.
No.
Thank you, Tommy. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think we have seen the potential here that we can reuse our internal documents as well as supplier documents. We are now in the process of also pushing the requirements down to our, at least the relevant suppliers. So they will upload into EqHub when that is applicable. However, until now, we have taken control of this ourselves and have uploaded EqHub documents to supplier documents to EqHub on their behalf. But we want to change that. So now we are moving into next step, and we will get help from offshore Norway to help us implement this towards our suppliers. Thank you, Lars Ole.
Yes, thank you, Tommy. And it's great to hear some real life examples of using EqHub. So thank you for that talk. And I just want to end this video by saying that you can become a part of the EqHub community now, and you can explore EqHub on eqhub.no. And if you have any questions, if you want help with implementation, for instance, you can reach us on support@eqhub.no. And follow us on LinkedIn, EqHub. You can scan the QR code or just search EqHub on LinkedIn, and you will be up to date on the latest events and the latest updates from the EqHub community. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in a different video. Bye.
Bye-bye.